Greetings and welcome. Uh, I am Joffrey, and today we are discussing the Hansa and Switzerland. Uh, I say that because in that order because I'm more interested in the Hansa than Switzerland, but only just because Switzerland has its own international organization. So I'm very curious to see how that one works. I really don't want you to sleep. No, of course not, Mags. Of course not. I can't let anyone sleep. No one can have a good time. Hello, oh, I am Baldo. Yes, I have shaved again. My nice shiny head is so beautiful. Oh, yes, wonderful as always. Greetings, my favorite Finnish person. All right. So, to get started, Switzerland. Is it really? I guess it is kind of in the heartland of the Holy Roman Empire at game start. And what the advertisements? Do right. So the Swiss are fiercely resisting the authority of Austria encroaching on their lands. I believe, yeah, because Austria does even at this point in time own multiple tiles near them, and I think Kyleberg there is actually an Austrian tile. They kind of are just creeping in, and it's very frustrating, I'm sure, for the Swiss. Um, It's just watching the previous stream. Well, that previous stream was a very, very long one, but it was interesting as well, for me at least. I got a lot out of that, and I was when it came to the modding tools part of it, the main developer behind the modding tool even left a comment, and I haven't been quite sure how to respond to it yet. So that's something that's very exciting. Yes, the main developer behind the mod tool, which I can't even remember the name of the tool right now, unfortunately, which is rather embarrassing. I was like, was it Aurora or something? No, Arcanum. Aurora. I got the vibe of the name right at least. Really excited to finish that one. It kind of dragged on for a while, as they always do, but I appreciate the sentiment. And I did have fun with it, and Nemcraft even joined for a bit as well. It was lovely. Though I don't believe it does not look like I'll be joined by anyone this time, at least. Probably watch it after this one. No. Let's see. We'll see how long this one takes. There's a good chance that I will end up yapping for quite a bit. Um, as we discuss how the Swiss are going to attempt to not be brought fully under the Austrian yoke. Yes, they are high Alemannic culture with whoa. The Canton of Schwyz is a very good ruler at game start. That's someone. We got to turn this into a monarchy real quick. They're a republic, I'm pretty sure. That's what a canton is. But yeah, that symbol I think means republic. But yeah, I need this to become a monarchy stat. In EU4, you'd be re-electing the same ruler eternally. Your mod comes out, you're gonna have to watch video essays on it too. I'm gonna what when so mod when my mod comes out, I have to watch video essays that other people make on my mod. Is that what you're saying? Because it's true. If such things get made, I will have to watch however much people yap about it. I'll be so insecure if people don't validate me and say that I'm good and pat me on the head. I will crumble from insecurity. Ooh. Oh, my neck is a little sore right now. I slept on it a little awkward last night. But I'm curious if the Swiss culture will become a thing, because High Alemannic, more or less, is just Switzerland culture. I don't think, or unless it includes Swabians. I'm not sure. Maybe it does. But the point is that uh, maybe at some point the High Alemannic will split off. Um, now that I'm thinking about it, first derailment of the day. Tinto talk. Germany. Feedback. Just scroll down to the cultures and see. It's the government types. Where is the beloved culture map? High Alemannic is, yeah, Swabian exists. High Alemannic is almost, it's realistically just Swiss. Though it's actually, Swiss actually expands, around, Geneva is not actually considered a Swiss culture, which is curious. So, yeah, it's not High Alemannic. So I'm curious if they share some cultural heritage or something. You're gonna see people make theories and predict stuff you didn't even think of, and then you'll write it and pretend you planned it all along. It's funny you say that because I did just go on a huge rant in a Discord call with some of the lead members of my team, discussing potential ways that we would take a certain aspect of the secret lore. Um, yes. We had some debates and disagreements, and perhaps an agreement. We'll have to see. But as far as it comes to a particular aspect of it and how it would affect the gameplay, but moving along, you can see that the Swiss are involved in 3 international organizations, and this is part of the reason that I was so excited ever for international organizations to begin with. Ever since they first explained that the system existed, they told us that the Swiss Confederation was one of them, and as a result, that means that the Swiss tags are both in the they're in the HRE, they're in the Catholic Church, and in the Swiss Confederation, which challenged me to think of ways that I, as a mod developer, could create even more. I need to make certain locations in Kiangol be in 4 or 5 international organizations at once. You gotta max, gotta international organization max. Yeah. Geneve is French speaking IRL. Oh, so realistically, it's Arpatan to this day, more or less. Curious. Uh, yeah, moving along then. This yeah, there's Geneve. It's just a cute little tile. Little Geneve. It's this is something I have been really looking forward to actually. Um, getting I've wanted to have some close-up images of what uh, Switzerland looks like, if that makes sense. Um, think of it like, all right, for me, I have been doing lots of province map painting. I have been, again, at the bottom of my screen, I have, well, get rid of this shit. But I've got GIMP open with my map that I've been working on for the mod, the Kiangol mod, and I've been working on that in CK3 preemptively. And CK3 works on a very different scale than EU5 does. And while we have been told averages, the modders have been told averages, and we've got a vague idea of how big provinces are in EU5. On average, we did not know how it actually stacks up. We're not aware of how it actually compares, if that makes sense, when you're looking at it in game. And that is my long-winded yapping way of saying looking at this here is very helpful for me because I am able to look at how big these individual tiles are and use it as a frame of reference for how big certain things will show up in game. And as a result, I can use that and be like, okay, if I make a province this large, it will show up this big in game, and I'll be able to know how big is too small, how small is too small for someone to easily play with. So I'm looking at Geneve and being like, yeah, Geneve is it's really small compared to most tiles around it. But even then, you could probably have something be smaller than it and still function. Not too much smaller, though. So I can see that Geneva is on the lower end of the scale, and going forward, I will be able to make adjustments to my plans and think, all right, that is workable. This is too small. Anyway, that's a rant. Just modding geek out. Switzerland has French as a national language. I mean, it makes sense. They're always stereotyped as being the French Germans. Um, it's a whole big thing about Switzerland's union of different cultures. The reasons its official name is Confederation Helvetica in Latin is as to not favor any of the languages French, Swiss German, a Romance language, and Italian. Yeah. Huh. Okay then. So that's perhaps why Swiss culture doesn't exist. The Swiss Confederation exists, but there's not. But like they don't want to define what it means to be Swiss. We'll see. We'll have to see. Um, oh. Well, that's funny. Just just talking about that. There's a policy. Yeah, there's three moderate policy proposals: native Swiss only and defensive pact. So there's a policy related to what cultures are allowed or some such thing, and what does native Swiss mean? I'm gonna guess that native Swiss means um, High Alemannic, maybe. Um, hey, yes. Hello, Rasak. It's been a while. Welcome, welcome. Antagonism caused by actions on international organization territory will be scaled by 50%. Okay. Yeah. I don't know how this exactly is going to work. Um, I'll need to see the vibe of how this works, but yeah, it's good to know that there is something in effect for causing more antagonism. It's only German, French, and Italian. The Romansh language is kind of a minority status or something. Romansh. Is that the blue one that I saw here? Roman Romansh. I see. That's the blue one there then. Huh. Romansh is its own language then. I wonder if it's represented by its own dialect. Only 5 members at Game Start. Okay. Wiz, Burn. You know, they got some important ones at least, but in that case, the Swiss Confederation is small at Game Start. I'll have to see if it expands. So, 5 members. It's a rather adorable little collective. Though this does make me think, perhaps, because there is a place in Keongol where I really do need to be publishing more videos on it. I haven't had the time, but I want to talk more about the lore for things where yes, explain some of the map situation of Game Start for that mod that we're planning to make. There are some places that would very much benefit from having such small international organizations that could be expanded due to outside threat. The backbone of the IO is its laws. I mean, I suppose every international organization's backbone is its laws in EU5. So, administrative, military, election, and centralization. All right. International politics, no policy. What is an what is internal politics? What does that mean? Then for internal wars and whether you can ally, does it no, it wouldn't be like ally everyone because that's what war politics means. Internal politics must mean like are you able to vassalize or declare war on internally the other members. And then the membership regulation, native Swiss only. Well, maybe they'll explain. I'm sure they'll explain. Yes. Election rules are curious. Policy proposal frequency and Swiss representative. So this means so there's a way to get like an international organization can have a ruler and like the idea is that there's currently no policy for there to be someone who is the ruler of the confederation more or less and represents it to other countries. I don't know what that would do, but I'm curious to see if they explain as such. just checked it wrong. Romansh is actually an official language since 1996. Oh, oh that's interesting as well. They have a ton then. Must be one of the countries with the most national languages in Europe. And then Swiss unification. Yes, of course. So actually centralizing the organization. So internal politics. Okay. Inside each IO law, there might be several policies which may shape the functionality of the IO, causing different effects on its members. This one just two. This one just has the two. Yeah, forbidden internal wars and allow internal wars, which no policy at game start. I don't know what no policy means, but I imagine that no policy just means it allows the wars. So I'm not sure. I when implemented, okay, membership regulation, native Swiss only. Um, yeah, what is considered a Swiss country is something that's not completely set in stone in 1337, and there's a law which will set the policy of the Confederation regarding which countries may be accepted into it depending on their primary culture. But yeah, with no policy, I assume that no policy means the same as allow, you know? A case of like um it's a case of I don't know why there's no policy. Realistically, they should probably just have it on allow then, because unless it's a case of allow makes it easier, you know? It might because it could always be a case of if you allow them, it makes it easier to declare war on members because there's like there's legal documentation saying it's okay. So that's a dangerous thing. Um, I know that if I'm trying to run the Swiss cantons, I'd probably want to enforce forbidden wars so that the Confederation I could try and expand the Confederation and stop them from wasting time fighting each other before eventually uniting. But there's three policies here. Native Swiss only, Swiss culture, and relatives of the Swiss. So that that doesn't explain that doesn't explain specifically what it means. Oh, implemented. Native Swiss only. Only countries with which primary culture is Swiss and have their capital in Switzerland, Rhaetia or Romandy. What what is primary culture Swiss? Because Swiss isn't a culture. I don't know. Yeah, Swiss license, Swiss adjacent. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know what that means because there's only High Alemannic. So does it mean High Alemannic is Swiss? But that's like there's native Swiss only, only Swiss culture in Switzerland. Swiss culture means any Swiss tag, regardless of whether it's in Switzerland or not. And then there's relatives of the Swiss. What does this mean? I assume that relatives of the Swiss, the one that makes the most sense to me, though, is that relatives of the Swiss probably means High Alemannic, Arpitan, and Romansh, maybe even South Bavarians. Don't know for sure, but the idea is probably most cultures that are adjacent to the High Alemannic would then be tags that are allowed to be accepted in. Um, I mean, it's possible that there's a Swiss culture group, like a Swiss heritage. It wouldn't surprise me too much, I guess, because then you would have Arpitan, High Alemannic, and Romansh. Could even add French Comtois. Wouldn't be South Bavarian though. I mean, you could, but like that would be quite a wide net. I don't know. Nevertheless, the core issue of the Confederation will be either keeping its confederal status or striving towards a unification of the Swiss lands. Yes. Imagine Swiss Light is Hungarian for someone. What? This must be beer. This must be a beer talk. I don't know. Maybe not a group, but a trait. Well, so the thing, Mags, is that yeah, there's um. See, Victoria has cultural heritages, heritage groups, and traits. EU5 just has heritages. You can have numbers of heritages, But it's all based on on the different heritages you have and your language. So the most famous examples of cultures with ridiculous numbers of heritages are Walloon culture and Norse Gael, because Norse Gael has um, Celtic, Britain, and it's got Celtic, Britain, and Celtic, British, and Norse. I don't know if it has a fourth, but it probably has a fourth one as well. Walloon also has three, so I don't think it's as many as Norse Gael, because I think Norse Gael also has another one. But um, Walloon has French heritage, Germanic heritage, and Low Countries heritage. The important thing to know about heritages is that they can be subdivisions as well, because Low Countries, every culture that's in the Low Countries has every culture that's in the Low Countries has the Low Countries heritage. So Flemish, Picard, even even the Picards are considered Low Countries culture heritage. That is. So Picard, Flemish, Walloon, all the way up through Frisian, all the way up. So there's like 6 or 7 different cultures that are all considered Low Countries heritage. However, not all of them are Germanic or French, for example. So, the Flemish, I don't know, I think it's Flemish and South that have the French heritage. But, the ones that are North have Germanic instead. And then you have Walloon, which is just fucked because Walloon has all three. Walloon is French, Germanic, and Low Countries. So it's gross in the most hilarious way possible, which means because you could play as Luxembourg, which is the most based House Luxembourg, of course. You play as Luxembourg, and you unite the Low Countries with Walloon culture, which means you can form the Netherlands tag, but then you could also form France, and then form the HRE. I don't know whether France or Germany get like it might even be possible if Germany's a higher tier than France, but I don't think it is. I think Germany is the same tier as France, and then the HRE is the highest tier. But I don't know. It's funny. So yeah, the point is, yeah. There is a. That's why I'm saying there's a chance that even though Swiss culture is across multiple groups, Swiss heritage could still be a thing. Because in that context, you might have French Comtois and Arpitan are both French. Those are French heritage cultures. A High Alemannic, that's obviously Germanic, and then Romansh is a Romance language, I'm pretty sure, culture. All three of them could all three of them. All of these cultures could theoretically have the Swiss heritage as well. Um, Maybe if you're being generous, South Bavarian, but I don't know. That might be pushing it. I wouldn't know though, because again, even the people in this time period don't bloody well know what a Swiss person is. Um, and that's the other thing, because you get native Swiss only. So this is a culture that is Swiss and is in Switzerland, and then there's Swiss cultures anywhere, and then there's relatives of the Swiss. So Swiss culture probably means any culture that has Swiss heritage and just anywhere that's not even in Switzerland. So then relatives of the Swiss probably expands the net even further. So my thought being High Alemannic, Romansh, and Arpitan probably all have Swiss heritage, maybe French Comtois as well, and then relatives of the Swiss would potentially even expand it to be like everyone adjacent. Like that's when you expand it to now the South Bavarians, Swabians, French Comtois, Lombards, and that sort of thing gets included in it as well. So like all the cultures that are nearby and considered chill, even if they don't necessarily have the heritage. Romansh is a weird ratio romance language along with Friulian and Ladin. I don't know how they'll be in game. Well, I doubt that this image shows language. Okay, it does show language. Hi. Yo, it does. That's so base. Look at this. Thanks for asking, Aim. Because look, Rhaetian. They got Rhaetian dialect. Because there's the language. Oh, there's Gallo-Italic language. and then the dialect underneath that of Rhaetian, which is so based. We need to screw screw playing as Switzerland. We need to reform Rhaetia. They better that's when you need like imagine if Romance was a Celtic. That would be because you're saying it's a weird racial romance. It's like it's a fucking Celtic culture. They better have Celtic heritage, I swear. If I can't form Celtica as them. But wanted to point out a fun thing from the Poland flavor election chance based on the being the child of a historical ruler combined with character spawning. Seems very fun for mod content. Oh. Oh. Hmm. So your point there being that when it comes to like a mod, you could yeah make someone a historical ruler, and then the game tracks their family tree, and any descendants of them would get a bonus to being elected because they've got the blood of said character. Huh. That I don't like okay, Rasak, on one part of me loves that, but the other part of me hates it because the problem for me is that this is giving an actual tangible reason for in-game wise why I might actually want to put some effort into title history in Kiangle, which scares me because it's there's so much other tedious stuff. Oh dear. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know about this, Rasak. I love it. Yep, love that. But it definitely that's definitely something you would see in in Kiangle. So yeah, my planned mod. Um, we have a couple places that definitely would be like that. Are some locations that would have an ancient ancestor where it's like, oh, a republic would want to elect someone because they're descended from said person. Um, and that's gonna be so annoying now. Oh, one of the flagship tags. One of the flagship tags of the mod is a place called the Republic of Laventia, and the Republic of Laventia is a place with a rather mythologized background. There's some famous barbarian that founded the place, founded it back when it was still a tribe called. He's a Wolf King or something. I don't remember exactly. It was another one of my team members who made that lore. But continuing along, and no problem for bringing up something that you would consider unrelated. It's still on, even if it wasn't still on topic, we yap about all sorts of things here. And it's related to EU5, and it was something about modding, so it makes a lot of sense to me. Modern racial romance language. Da, da, da. I don't. There are. Uh, cook, cook the red lobster cheddar biscuits. um, I my guess would be no. My guess would be no. Don't cook the cheddar biscuits. If they're already biscuits, then why would you cook them? So Swiss unification, the core issue of the Confederation, yeah, striving towards unification. So there's an event that can trigger. Okay, so to do this, yeah, you need an event to fire that will cause you to even be physically capable of unifying the Confederation. I say that it's curious. You know, it may be triggered at a certain point by an event. I wonder what that event would be. Hmm. Um. Okay. Okay. Well, Evie, are you making a joke about the fact that there are lobster people in Kiangol, or you? No, no. Okay, you're saying they're a bit. Yes. Okay. You're actually talking about making cheddar biscuits. I don't know. I don't know. I have not had cheddar biscuits, and I've never been to Red Lobster, so I am not an expert on that. Um, whenever I'm making something like that, I'm not an especially exciting cook, so. Eh. But if you're kind of tempted to, then maybe you should, even if it make a mess. Uh, Swiss unification allows the following policies: found the Swiss Republic, found the Swiss monarchy, and found the Swiss theocracy. So does that mean that if you're playing as a bishop, I think there's actually like monasteries. I'm pretty sure they're monasteries specifically, so they're worse than bishoprics in Switzerland. If you play as one of those monasteries and you attempt to confederate Switzerland as one of those, then you would turn it into a theocracy, I guess. You need to be at peace or in a defensive war. Okay. High Alemannic belongs to the Swiss group. There we go. There we go. Okay. So that confirms it that there is in fact a Swiss culture group. We don't know what all cultures are involved in it, but maybe they'll explain in the comments. Continuing along. Yes, you can form Switzerland. It's a duchy rank title, and it gets autonomous Swiss cantons. Um, you need to be a certain size. Okay, you need to be a certain size, and within. Wait. Oh, okay. Either you need to own a certain amount of land in the Switzerland areas, or you need to do it through the IO. That makes sense. And when you form it, it gives you the autonomous Swiss cantons government reform. I'm sure that we'll get our funny Swiss bankers later down the line. The eternal alliance of the forest cantons. Prestige, monthly diplomats. It's not a lot, but hey, there's a lot. The thing is, I guess I'm looking at the prestige and thinking that's like no prestige. In EU5, there's so many sources of prestige, and they're all very small because in EU4, basically anytime you're getting a source of prestige, it's zero point 0.5 or a whole one. So it's super easy to get to maximum prestige uh, in EU4. It's kind of ridiculous, but yeah, you get some extra infantry power because oh, from the legacy of a battle. The Morgarten. The legacy of the, like, what, Death Garden? I guess? Uh, I don't know. We had a very important advantage over the cursed Habsburg invaders. The halberd is a simple yet lethal weapon that will repel any foe with ease. Training our troops in its usage, and the usage of the weapon will give us an advantage against our foes, even if they can access much larger troops. Swiss mercs. This is the first time that we've seen a modifier like this that affects mercs. Mercenary size and mercenary maintenance are curious numbers because we really haven't been shown or told, even by the people who've played the game, much about the way that mercenaries work. So I'm rather curious about that. But 20% merc maintenance and 25 size increase is rather substantial modifiers. So surely it's good. But players, all they've been saying really is that mercenaries aren't useful. The more part could have lots of other meanings. Yeah, yeah. That's. Yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly, exactly. More could mean It could be short for a lot of different things. I'm no expert on German, but yeah. And they have a unique Age of Discovery professional mercenary halberdier troop thing. What little I've heard is tried it, wanted my troops back, and never used it again. Not quite what I meant. I did not mean lending out troops as mercenaries. I meant buying mercenaries, not condottieri. It was odd to me that Swiss mercs don't involve condottieri. Yeah, I am, as far as I understand it, condottieri, the way that condottieri works in EU5 is that you turn some of your professional troops into mercenaries, and then people can hire them and earn money from it. But it's not like it doesn't function the same way as it does in EU4, where you um, lend people some of your army like a goddamn Hearts of Iron volunteer detachment. It's instead in this context, it's a case of yeah, your troops just are mercs and they get hired as such, and then earn you some money as a result. Um, Mercenaries are very weird in EU5, so that's why it's so confusing to try and understand how they work, especially when people aren't really talking about it. People have actually played the game, so it makes me slightly concerned that they're just not really used. And there's some countries I'd really like to use them as. Fun fact: we're talking about two of them in this Tinto talk, that being Switzerland and then the Hansa, because the Hansa doesn't own land. So I imagine they will want to have a lot of mercs to actually fight battles. Yeah. Yes, the Swiss get a unique unit that is yes, basically condottieri that have returned and become professional troops, kind of thing. Yeah. Uh, they show us all the numbers, but I don't really know what any of the numbers mean except for the troop size and the maintenance of the yeah, the actual goods maintenance. Don't know like how the stats compare between various units. Theoretically, it would be possible to stitch together a bunch of these images and get some numbers together. Um, all right, so no one really knows what that battle what that battle they're talking about is then. Okay, well that's a shame. Alpine defensiveness, so about 25 fort defense, and then military tactics too. That sounds lovely. Those are some pretty chunky modifiers. And then a smaller one for the absolutism. Yes, you get production efficiency. I mean, it's not a huge number, but that's certainly good. And the Swiss Enlightenment for Republican tradition, as yes, realistically, Switzerland is yes very Republican in nature. Oh, the etymology of the name. Oh, okay. The battle is well known about, but people don't know necessarily what the name comes from. Okay. Um, but yes, Evie, the fort defense does sound like it would be very useful in the mountains as well. You will be very hard to defeat. I don't think there's mountains. Yeah, wait, no, surely the Alps are no. Oh, none of the Alps are Arctic. All of the Arctic that's in the mountains is impassable terrain, so there's no mountains, I think at least. I don't know for sure. Um, but theoretically, continental mountain tiles don't usually get severe winters. But I'm not certain. Maybe because they're next to Arctic tiles, they'll get severe winters sometimes. But point is, yeah, if you get severe winters in a mountain tile, you literally can't move onto that tile. Severe winter just locks movement on a mountain, or at least moderate or severe ones. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's just severe, but who knows? Um, Got me thinking. If you can do something like a society of pops that exists as a society, or mercenaries like the Hessians, you spread your pops around the world as mercs. Uh, I don't know how you'd do a society of pops that works that way, but yeah, I think that the idea of like the Hessian mercs being a playable tag, just playing as mercenaries does sound interesting. I just don't know how that gameplay loop would go because you'd realistically just be fighting wars. Like that's the entire point of you existing is to fight wars as a building based tag. If there's no free siege tick on defeat, forts are going to be so good. Yeah, that's a very good question. I don't think anyone's mentioned that, like an answer to whether or not that's the case in regards to forts. Yeah, some dynamic historical events. One that can give you a unique government reform for the guilds. Burger estate satisfaction, but lower taxes. But some production efficiency as well, so that's probably worth it in the long run. Almost certainly worth it, in fact, for guild constitution. Collegium Helveticum. This is a special building? No? Educates the most talented. Although not on Swiss ground directly, the Collegium is a prime destination for aspiring theologians. Where is this? Oh, it's in Milan. Oh, so Switzerland, the tag can make a college in Milan that they own. Gold to owner too. Huh. Interesting. Right. And then the Hanseatic League. Let's, where did I put my? Did I not put it in the laundry pile? There it is. Alright, I need to put on my goddamn turtleneck. I'm getting cold. Alright, but the Hansa, this is the big boy. The star of the show. So ironically, 40 minutes in and we're getting to the juicy bit. How in the heck does the Hansa work as a building-based country? Because we have not been shown all that much in the way of facts about building-based countries, just told the theories. So, all right. Hanseatic League is a tier 2 country. It's a republic, building-based country. They have 8 dynamic historical events. And here's their terrible leader. And wait. Okay, he's terrible at administration, but he's incredible with martial. But that's not really what I'm paying attention to now. They it says here no cities, yeah. So they have no tiles that they own. However, however, they have pops. They own pops. So that means that anytime a country, no land, but 16,000 employees, that that means that anytime a country owns a building in someone else's land, those pops are still considered their pops. The person who owns the building, they belong to that tag. So so that means that anytime the Hansa, and this is also the weirdest thing, those employees are considered part of this tag. That's wild. I did not think that would be the case. I am shocked that that is true. And and also the Hansa has a culture. The Hansa has a culture. There is no fucking Hanseatic culture on the map here. You can't look at this map and see Hanseatic somewhere here. That culture is not just something that you like look at Lubeck and say, oh yeah, that's Hanseatic culture, and it's just like all around there and all the cities and something. It's all like Lubeck is Holsteinian with plenty of Sorbian minorities. That means, yeah, of course not. It's only in their buildings. And the Hansa is 100% Hanseatic Catholics. So every time the Hansa makes a building, or any building-based country in general, so a holy order, for example, if you're playing the Hospitallers in like you're playing Knights of St. John on Rhodes, and you build a commandery in like Rome, in the Pope, you build a commandery in the Pope. That tile then assimilates to your culture and faith, and then becomes your pops. So all of these places that the Hansa owns, there we go. All of these places that the Hansa has an office in, every single one of these places has a little bit of Hanseatic culture, and you can't get rid of it because that culture is just those pops are tied to that tag. You can't assimilate them. That's so neat. That is so neat. Huh. Because that means, for example, why are Bruges and London dashed? That theoretically is a bank. I think it's either the Peruzzi or Bardi banking families that also have a branch. They also have a building in those tiles. So see, Rasak, yeah, would be cool if they convert over time, starting as their old culture. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know personally how that works, but what we've been told before is that when a building-based country makes a building, or whenever someone, anywhere, whether you're a building-based country or otherwise, so whenever you are a country that builds something in someone else's land, it then will assimilate and convert some of the pops from that tile to your culture and faith, and then it make them employees in that building. So that means that it's probably instant. Um, but that's just so curious. I Well, yeah, actually, it might be something about the Hansa. Well, no, Nathaniel, it's because the Hansa has offices there. The Hansa has offices in London and Bruges. It's just that there's also banking offices of the Bardi banking family. I think is the blue one, but maybe that's just because it's blue Bardi. So yeah, it's because there's two different building-based countries. So it's hashed. Question is, does this apply to every building? Like, do all the buildings employees have a culture, or does it just apply employed? Yeah. I'm pretty sure, Evie, I'm pretty sure that any country that makes a building in someone else's land, anytime they do that, it assimilates and converts those pops to be the owner's culture and faith. Because we've seen that talked about with commanderies and trade offices as well. Um, it's how they track employment properly, since unlike Vic 3, the pops aren't assigned to buildings. Oh, that's a good point. Maybe it is tied to that somehow. That they because EU5 doesn't have any system for like, oh yeah, these pops are employed in this building. So maybe it does that because it will maybe the game somehow looks at the owner of a building and then the number of pops that it requires are required to be employed in a building that's in a tile, and they'll be like, all right, there's supposed to be this many of these people, and then it just forces that to be the case. At least somehow. I don't know. Uh, it checks if they have enough pops to fill the buildings and what buildings get filled first. Yeah. Huh. But yeah, I do really like this image. This image is yeah, I had to use it for the thumbnail because I love looking at the terrain of this. And how absolutely disgusting Hamburg looks here. They went through like I love the hoops. It's so silly. The hoops they jumped through here because they wait, those what are those? Okay, but what I was gonna the hoops they jumped through to make Hamburg connected to the sea. So they took this tile here, the same with Sevilla, and then you've got Bremen. But yeah, they took because they didn't want to make navigable rivers. They didn't want to make navigable rivers a thing, so they instead decided, okay, we'll just make this sea tile jankily go into the land this far. And yeah, Hamburg is super sprawled, but it's also really thin, so the sprawl dynamically goes along the actual tile radius. That's so cool. And also something I was worried about. I was very concerned that if you made really haggard looking borders, that the sprawl would just blob out into other lands. But the game actually is very consistent with making sure that the sprawl stays within the borders of a tile itself, and that is something I'm very thankful for. Uh, the river ship people be furious. I yeah, something that I've spoken to other total conversion modders about is a lot of us aren't sure if we want to do navigable rivers or not. It's a big like I don't know, like do you want to try it or not? Because that's tough. And I think one of the big things for me that will determine whether or not I want to do navigable rivers is whether or not um, there's a way. I want to see how the game itself looks at this river here, because you've got Heidi, Steinberg, and Pinberg, all these things that are like Stade to Neuhaus, Neuhaus. You have all of these tiles that are next to the Rhine. The Rhine? No, that's not the Rhine. I don't even fucking remember what this river is. The point is, next to this river, Mag is going to be so mad if he's still here that I don't remember it. Yeah, exactly. He's so mad that I don't know this name of this river. Only one side of my family's from Germany. The Elbe. Okay. Elbe is very wide and navigable until Hamburg. If you open up Google Maps, you see how wide it is from space. Can't limit larger. Wide navigable. It's North Germany. Okay. Um, so what I was getting at, oh yeah, you can't if you can't limit larger ships from accessing it, then it's a little silly ships of the line going up rivers. Yeah, yeah, that's the important thing, Rasak, is that if you make navigable rivers a thing in a mod, um, you need to make them like the St. Lawrence or larger. That's like the only time that they should realistically be navigable, because um, you would have naval battles that took place during like the American Revolution and War of 1812, uh, in the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence River. Um, but like you know the Elbe, the Elbe, the Elbe, Elbe. If this here was a separate navigable river tile, it would be really jank because you'd have naval battles in here, and it would be really strange how it would work. Um, I don't. Am I really about to look up Google Maps right now? No, oh, that's big. Yo, yeah, it really is right until Hamburg. That is wide. Huh. It's a little more egregious with the Weiser, I guess. Weiser? I don't know how you say that name. But yeah, that river going down to Bremen is a little egregious by comparison. Christ. That's the but yeah, the Elbe is that's pretty big. How does that compare to say the St. Lawrence? Yeah, it's about the same as the St. Lawrence. So yeah, but my point is, yeah, big river forces rise up. Yeah. So my point is, okay, I want to know how EU5 handles these tiles being adjacent to a river. I want to know if they consider these tiles as being adjacent to a river or if they are just coastal, because these should be considered next to a river because they are next to a river. This is a freshwater source. This is a river. These should be riverside tiles and have the benefits associated with that as a result because they're not adjacent to any other rivers. Dithmarschen should be considered next to a river. However, I don't know if it's going to be. I think that yeah, that's a key thing to me. Yeah, these tiles should get the bonuses associated with being next to a river, and I don't know how the game will handle it one way or another. I will be very frustrated if this means that they can't be considered coast like next to a river, as well as coastal. And that is a big challenge that, as far as making a mod is concerned, would need to be resolved when it comes to navigable rivers. How do you resolve whether something is considered next to a river or not? And you might need to find jankily ways of resolving it elsewhere. Now they should be coastal. The river water is brackish even in Hamburg, since there's a river estuary, the salt water flowing in during the high tide. Uh, hmm. You see, there's a river between Steinberg and Heide, at least. I don't see one. Well, not here. There isn't one on this on in game yet, at least. There might be one in real life, and there's plenty of rivers all over the place in real life. But the important question is whether or not the game considers it one. Yeah, because there's a river there. Yeah, that's just a border. Yeah, that's just a river that you're referring to there. Um, so yeah, when it comes to yeah making a mod, a big thing would be yeah how do you handle if you're trying to make a navigable river, and also the fact that if you make navigable rivers a thing, then yeah, they need to be something that you would think it's okay for ships of the line to go inside and then have naval engagements inside. And yeah, so theoretically, if that was something I went about doing, then I would need to make a unique type of ocean tile that is a goddamn river, which would have like a zero combat width, which honestly is a hilarious idea. So I'm curious about potentially doing that at some point. But that's enough of that for now. Still can't believe they actually get like they have pops, Like does this mean that the Hansa can technically raise levies? Like, can the Hansa press a button when war is declared to raise levies from among their employees? Do they levy some of the branch office workers and be like, yeah, levy the fucking desk workers? Like 20 guys per building? That's ambitious. We're talking maybe 10 guys per building because you get like 100 or maybe 200 dudes per building. Oh, no. Maybe they'll show us more buildings later in this one, I'm sure. But yeah. If you could levy your own employees, it would be hilarious, though. Right. The Hanseatic League is a very different type of country, as being a building-based one. That means it holds no land, and in the case it would require any, it would become a settled country. This means that it can only expand via foreign buildings, from which its money and resources depend. This is due to the Hanseatic Merchant Federation, which unlocks its basic content and mechanics. Now that's curious because they say like if it acquired any, it would if it acquired any, it would become settled. So then the question becomes how can they do that? And is it a bad idea? Yeah, is it a bad idea for them to become settled? If they become settled, do they lose their government reform, the Hanseatic Merchant Federation? And if so, is that bad? Do they not want to do that? How do they gain land then? You know, you enjoy the idea of starting as a building-based nation with literally one dude. Yeah, that's got to be something. I definitely need to do that someplace. I need to have in Kyongo somewhere a building-based country that is just initially uh, one building and it's just some guy's house. In fact, I already have a very good idea of who I would do that for. There's a particular joke character. There is a particular joke character in my setting who also happens to he's basically Chuck Norris, except if Chuck Norris was like a force for evil. So a super campy, over the top, villainous guy that just like that does the sort of bullshit like he walks upstream in rivers. He just walks into the river and walks upstream. When a bear screams at him because it's afraid, that sort of thing. Uh, Not even as a joke, just for the building up from nothing feel. Yes, I do agree that building up from nothing is a really fun way to play games. And that's part of why it's so cool that there's landless adventurers in CK3. So yes, yes. Apart from being a joke, that's something that would be very interesting from a gameplay perspective if it could be done. Uh, yes, I must I must discuss with the council. However, need to continue on here and see if it's even how feasible the gameplay is. Maybe they'll discuss it more. But something that I am very curious about is, of course, if we will see any gameplay of building-based countries before the game releases. It would be rather sad if in the next, what, 10 days? Uh, the game is coming out so goddamn soon. If in the next, like, 10 days or however long it is until it comes out, we don't see any gameplay of any building-based countries. Ludi says the Hansa is very OP. Ludi doesn't have access to the game, as far as I heard. I don't think Ludi has the game. Unless something's changed. Maybe they gave him access again. But I'm assuming that's just him saying based on his impressions of this diary. Let me uh, mute tab. Oh, so he did get access to the game, I think. My first EU5 playing Tall Holland and what you need to know. Huh. Its bonuses should look good. I should get to discussing that. Yeah. All right. Moving on from the whether or not Ludi has access to the game, which I guess he does now. Um, yes. All right. Hanseatic Merchant Federation. So Burger's power goes down a lot, which is curious. I guess the idea being that you are the burghers, so you are the burghers are the government. So that's to stop the burghers because like the whole country is basically them. Like you'll have very little pops that aren't burghers. So to stop them from just having all the power in your country as opposed to the crown, you take away just a flat modifier of them. Makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. Journalist also talked about foreign building cost reduction stacking. Oh yeah, yeah. I remember that hearing that that was a thing as well. Though there's only so many buildings that most people can make in foreign countries. Only so many people can yeah make like important ones because most countries foreign buildings. I mean like it was his Venice game. So, with Venice, you could, stack an absolute ton of foreign building cost reductions, which, yeah, the numbers on that were insane. Because, I mean, the idea was, you know, make it so that Venice can build foreign buildings cheaply so that they actually want to do it. Otherwise, why wouldn't they just build buildings in their own country? But yeah, it's a simple balancing thing, just to reduce the amount of ways you can easily access huge numbers. I think it counted every building for subjects so you could build up everything. Oh, yes. Yes, that's right. I remember that. He was saying that, yeah, in general, as Venice, after Action Report, he was talking about as Venice, he wanted to just vassalize a bunch of people instead of actually conquering any land because you could build um, foreign buildings in their lands really cheap. Building based countries. Uh, Converting a small amount of pops to their culture and faith sounds like interesting stuff for vampires and liches and stuff. Yeah, yeah. That's one of, if not the biggest, examples of where I want to make use of that. Vampires are very different in my setting, but they do exist, and uh, that is one of the ways that they would be represented naturally, if feasible. The thing is, Nathaniel, I don't know how good the gameplay will be for building based countries if you aren't a trade maxer, you know? Because yes, Rasak, you get things. Um, you know, we've got things. Um, we've got bandits, we've got cultists, we've got bandits, cultists, vampires, mages, adventurers. There's the Holy Roman Empire has in my setting in this Kiangal mod has both a imperial mages guild more or less. It's not what it's called, but it has an imperial international organization that will be multiple different mage building based countries and one for uh, uh, adventurers. However, the adventurers both landed and building based. But the problem is how will those work? How will those actually work? Because what is the gameplay of an adventurer country? Because the idea of an adventurer building based country, if you're not a landed adventurer tag, what are you doing? Are you being a mercenary, and how does that work? Uh, we haven't seen many details on how lending out your army works, but theoretically, the way it would work is that you're a building based country that somehow recruits troops and just basically always has them as condottieri. So, uh, do the thing too is you need a reason for a nation like Laurent to not just insta declare on a vampire tag with 3 buildings, for example. Something simulate the tag being hidden until revealed. Um, yes. The That's a big problem too. Is that like people know that tags exist when it's a secret one. Like, I'd like to have crime organizations and I like to have crime organizations and vampires be represented with building based countries, but you know again the question becomes what is the gameplay for crime syndicates and such? Obviously, it's trade. That's easy. You make it trade, but what does a building based mage organization do? What does a mage school do as a building based country? In the same way that we got shown in the India flavor, like ages ago, we got shown that when Sikhism spawns, Sikhism creates a building based country that is just the Pope of Sikhism, and it's a building based country, and they can make more buildings. So it's like, what do you do? What is the point? What are you trying to do as that tag then? If you're just the Pope of Sikhism, you're just building these buildings around the place, and for what? Do you convert people to Sikhism by making those? Is that your goal? And do you get something out of converting more pops? What do you do if you're a mage then? So what do you do if you're a mage school and as a building based country and you're setting up these various academies all around the world? What do you get out of that? That's the point. What is the gameplay loop you're looking for? If there's something in the code like not allowed to declare war unless you have a special unique CB, Mage, I feel is the easiest. They would just do the Hansa things, trade and get subject. Well, why is it trade though? Why is it trade? The same like with a crime organization, for example. Yeah, that just makes sense. Adventurers are difficult. I don't know how, because an adventurer theoretically you need to make the whole thing based on using troops. But what what the heck does a what would a mage do? Yeah, why would a mage be like in control of trade? I think a lot of these tags gameplay is just role playing, getting stronger to spread your religion or dominate trade, depending on what they are. Because you're not a nation, you don't need to own land. I guess. So, like, because the Hansa here, you've got all these modifiers here: burger power, trade maintenance, trade capacity, trade income. These are such huge numbers here. You get so much extra trade capacity, 50% more. You can be making so many trades happen, and it's cheap too. And you get extra money out of it too. You just like the only downside is the legislative efficiency, so it's incredibly difficult for you to pass laws. Uh, and but then prefers court language to be a market language. I don't know what that means. I guess it's just the language is spoken in your markets. They prefer to be your court language as opposed to whatever your culture's language is. And then Hanseatic Federation buildings. Don't know what those do, but perhaps we'll see. Um, hmm, Transmutation mages. Especially if mages are meant to be more traditional, I can imagine them being burger maxing. That's not burger maxing. Traditionalists are feudal. Traditionalists are not burgers. The burgers are the only people that are not traditionalist. Like uh, peasants, nobles, clergy, those are all traditionalists focused realistically. Oh, they can't. You can't imagine them burger maxing. Yes, yes, exactly. Mages are supposed to be very feudal in nature. Um, Everyone trades people that can make magic stuff, but also trade. I think. Okay, you have a point there, Rasak. One thing perhaps that mages could do, mind you, this is all a long ways down the development pipeline. Because when EU5 comes out, the team and I are just going to be doing very basic modding, testing stuff out. Um, but fair point. Perhaps mages, whatever the mages' buildings are that they just make around the place, perhaps some of those buildings could create resources that are harder to get. They might have some production method that enables them to create stuff that people want, some magic stuff. They would create a good, and then they would sell it and get money out of it. That kind of thing. Uh, but yes, need to play before we can design stuff. But the idea of a building based country that creates goods. that buys, as if it's a settled country that buys and then sells stuff that other people can't really do. Could be neat. Anyway, let's see some of these buildings. So, unique. This is one of those Hanseatic Federation buildings, I imagine. So, Hanseatic Contour, 250 burgers. Buy mana stones, sell magic goods. Exactly. There you go. They make potions and shit. I don't know. So, maritime presence to owner, plus 0.1, trade advantage 1, and trade capacity to owner. So, that means that, this gives the Hansa maritime presence. Wait a second, this scales? Yo, this isn't even locked behind, like, this building isn't even locked behind you can only have one per tile. You can like scale the number of these that are in a location. And this here, all this means that this thumbs up and down, we've seen that before. That symbol means that because these are all the things that are required for you to build. The green check mark means you can build it. You meet the requirements. I think that's what that means. Anyway, these three things, we know what they mean though. This means that you can build it in any place that isn't rural, I think. This means that you can build it in towns or cities. So as long as it's a town or city, you can build it, and you just need to have a positive opinion, a mutual positive opinion with the country you want to build it in. Fun fact, Cantor means a currency exchange point in Polish. Oh, adventurer guilds could produce magic creature parts. Yeah, lots of things to potentially think about. Yes, but yes, maritime presence and all that. Yeah. All right. Hanseatic Shipwright Guild. Okay. Oh, yeah. Run by the Hanseatic League, this trading office is a vital cornerstone for facilitating lucrative commerce between northern European cities and overseas markets. Oh, Hanseatic Shipwright Building. This is a military building? What? And you can scale it too. 1,000 laborers. Oh, never mind. They actually can get a lot of laborers too. Those are peasant class pops. So yeah. Guess you are getting people from all sorts of different classes. But shipbuilding capacity, harbor capacity, can build shipbuilds here. Sailors to owner. This is really cool. This is making me cheesed. I am actually really I love this because we were told already that the Hansa could build ships in their vassals. This means that, yeah, you can just build this. You can make this Hanseatic shipwright thing in any of these places that people like you. Any of these locations that those people, the owner likes you, you can build this guild in that location. So, and it gives you, yeah, shipbuilding capacity. I don't know what harbor capacity is, but I guess that's the number of ships that can dock there or something. I don't know. But yeah, shipbuilding cap. Harbor cap, can build ships here, sailors to owner. This, yeah, exactly. The sailors owner gets that. Yeah. So the shipbuilding, this is effects on the location for the owner. This is different. Sometimes buildings like this will have an effect for the owner and for the person who just for the tile. And that's something I really want to play around with when it comes to designing building-based countries for Kiangol, is that I want to try playing around with the fact that sometimes it can be a mutually beneficial relationship to have a building-based country making these buildings in your lands. I want to have it give a positive feedback to the owner of the tile as well. So you honestly, like, you have a reason to let them exist, because the Hansa currently, these things, none of this benefits the person who owns the tile. There's no benefit to this at all. The only thing that's beneficial about having the Hansa in your lands is that theoretically they can bring more goods from overseas, and if you own the tile and the Hansa doesn't, then the more goods that flow through the trade nodes that you own, the more money you make. But the problem is that since they have the trade advantage because of these offices and shit, that just means that they're making more of it than you. So it's kind of parasitic a lot of the time. And I like the idea of potentially giving bonuses to the person who owns a tile as well. So there's a bit of a give and take. Sailors to owner, yeah, yeah, okay. So but the point here is that yeah, like so all of this is for the owner. Maybe something I would do when designing stuff personally doesn't mean that they need to do it. Like it makes sense that it works this way because it's owned by the Hansa, so it should be giving bonuses to the Hansa. But perhaps when designing stuff for myself and Kiango, I would give some smaller bonuses of I don't know what harbor capacity is, but perhaps I'd give some bonuses to harbor capacity for the person who owns the tile. I would perhaps as well say can build ships here to the owner of the tile. Because perhaps if the owner of the tile does not have a shipyard of some sort there, well, then they can just use the Hansas, right? You know, because the Hansa owns the shipyard, but the person who owns the city, so you've got like Bremen. Bremen, for some reason, does not own like a shipyard. The king, the fucking Burgermeister of Bremen does not like himself control a shipyard, but there's one in the city. It's just that the Hansa runs it. Just pay the fucking Hansa to build you a ship. They'll do it. They'll be like, thanks for the contract, buddy. So that's something I'd be like, add that in too. Sailors to owner, and then a little bit of trickle off for some stuff to the owner of the tile as well. Designing a Hansa that you want in your locations. Yes, yes, exactly. I like the idea of because currently this is a parasitic force, more or less. And I like the idea of I want to, especially when it comes to multiplayer games. Imagine if there's this player you're dealing in a multiplayer situation, and there's this player who has these buildings all around the place, and it's helpful to you to have them in your lands because of some stuff, but also they're getting more powerful and more control over more and more players and their trade, and it becomes a point of, well, is this a good thing to let them get stronger? They're helping me, but also they're getting too strong, and they're having a strangle on my trade. And if I don't do something now, it's going to be impossible to do something later. Hans is meant to do this in subjects mostly, very different interaction. Yeah, yeah. I would be curious if you can't build this in other people's countries. I assume you can build this in other people's lands, but yeah. Anyway, this is really cool, and the whole, but above all of that yapping, the thing that is the most interesting about this, that really gets me excited, is the fact that it's like the can build ships here. There are built like the other like version of this is can recruit regiments here. There is a thing, there is a trigger that says can recruit regiments here. That means that if I was to design a building based country like an adventurer's guild, that would be the opposite of this, because the Hansa is a merchant focused boats building based country. What if we were dealing with a stratocracy, a adventurer's guild, or say a order of wizards? You're dealing with wizards, um, or yeah, wizards or adventurers, bandits too, any of that sort of thing, crime syndicates, any of these things that would be more martial on the land focused and not be relying as much on mercs. This sort of thing would enable you to, because and I assume this is how the holy orders are going to work. Once Across the Pillars comes out, is that you'd expect them to have a building that gives them manpower to owner, and then also can recruit regiments here. So then you get the money to upkeep the regiments. You've got the manpower to upkeep the regiments, and you've got the ability to recruit the regiments there as well. And then yeah. Could be levels to your relationship with how much they can build. Level 1, they can just build like offices. Level 2, they can build depots. Level 3, they can straight up own ports. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, Yeah, seeing this setup in any building effect can probably be added to the owner instead of the location. Exactly. Yes, because it says effect on the location for the owner, and then we also know for the location owner. Those are two separate things that we have seen that show up in here. So that's going to probably be extremely simple to code. That'll be very simple to add different effects to those. We've seen buildings that do both, but usually that's just for like estates. It doesn't usually come into play with these. But I think like trade posts affect both the owner and the tile. Imagine stevedore guilds. No, not the stevedores. No. But that 100% needs to be a thing. When someone inevitably makes a Warhammer mod for EU5, they 100% need to make the stevedore guild the building-based country for the stevedores, and they just strangle all of the trade. In all of the River Reich, they dominate the trade there because they just don't let you take your stuff off the ship. Oh, jeez. Interesting. It has stone as an upkeep. Oh. The other means that it has to expand its powers by a unique type of subject, the member of the Hansa. Only countries with at least one town or city and having fewer than 5 locations can be made members. An action that can be performed either through diplomacy or by a war and a peace treaty. There are only 3 at start: Hamburg, Lübeck, and Bremen. Okay, so Riga isn't even in it yet. Alright, alright. And here are its rules. Oh goodness, I am all cheesed up about this. What the? Alright, alright. Alright. The Hanseatic League is a confederation of mercantile cities with a defensive and commercial focus, spearheaded by the Hansa. As a member of the Hanseatic League, this subject country enjoys increased trade efficiency and loyalty to the overlord, as well as reduced trade maintenance. The overlord, which can only be the Hansa, enjoys increased trade capacity as well as payments in form of manpower and sailors. Oh, the Hansa gets manpower, does it? The Hansa gets manpower. Right. Manpower and sailors, but less ducats compared to a regular vassal. The Hansa gets manpower from its vassals. Now, why is that important to know? Why is that relevant, Joffrey? Why are you going? What they get manpower? It's so cool. Why is that relevant? The reason that's so interesting is because the fact that the Hansa gets manpower from their vassals means that even though we have not seen a building that does so, we have only seen buildings that give you more trade and buildings that let you make ships. We have not seen ones that let you recruit troops. However, the fact that they give you manpower from your vassals means that you have to have a way to spend it. You're not spending it on levies. Levies don't use manpower, they use pops. And I doubt that they let you recruit levies from your branch offices. Most likely you can't raise levies as a building-based country. So, but the fact that it gives you manpower means that there is probably a building somewhere in the Hansa's bag of tricks that lets you recruit regiments as a way to actually use that. That you can have the layers of subject nations, building-based nation, and international organizations on top is crazy. Yeah. Because I will again, yeah, the Hansa is a member of the HRE, and any subjects of the Hansa are also then members of the HRE. The Hansa is a building-based country that's a member of the HRE. Yeah, there is a particular building-based country in Kiangol that is we intend to make a elector in the HRE, even though the electors won't be started existing at game start. That's have to see if that actually happens post game start. You're also making enough money you can just spam mercs theoretically. Theoretically, you can just spam mercs, but we don't know the numbers. We haven't seen it ourselves. Now, this subject cannot be annexed. You cannot, yes, annex the member of the Hansa, which, I mean, why would you? Why would you do that anyway? Building rules. Overlord can build ships in subjects' ports. Overlords can recruit regiments in subjects' locations. Okay, I'm so stupid. You don't even need a building that lets you recruit regiments. You just can recruit regiments in your subjects' lands. You can build ships in their ports. You can recruit regiments in subjects' locations. Overlords can build resource gathering operations in subjects' locations. Oh, oh. Overlords can build roads and buildings. Wow. But I bet you can do it with buildings as well because there's a building, yeah, because you can use your subjects' ports to make boats, and you can use their buildings that let you recruit regiments to make regiments of your own. So most likely you can also do it in just other lands that you have a building for it as well. Um, Very curious stuff. Really giving the vibe of that classic Crusader Kings 2 Republic gameplay that I miss so much. You can just straight up make your subjects richer. Yeah, exactly. All will prosper under the League. You see, you make your subjects richer, and then it makes you richer too. Yeah, roads and RGOs and straight up boons. Yeah, yeah. Now I can see the Mage Overlord gameplay. Yes, yes, I can definitely I can understand why you as a building-based country that's a mage might go about creating vassals like this. Um, Definitely something am I'm going to have to reconsider some aspects of the mod now. Um, there is, for example, a there is, for example, a there is a church. There is a magicratic theocracy. A magicratic theocracy that is the head of a certain sect of a religion. And that church primarily is focused on developing up this one specific, mind you, their main focus is this one specific church of theirs that's built into the side of a mountain. However, they do directly control land outside of it and also own lands in various locations dotted around the the region where their faith is. So as a result, maybe the best way to represent it is instead of them owning tiles that and those tiles are the land then that they own, is maybe instead what I'll do is make them into a magicratic theocracy building based country that then has vassals of a special type and goes about this as a result. Hmm. Building-based nations remain the coolest feature in EU5. Endless uses and potential. Yes, if performance allows, we will have to see how it works in reality. And the problem will, of course, be that vanilla only has so many uses for them. But the Hansa is an incredible showcase of their potential. Not to mention the notion of how the daimyos work. We can only hope the daimyos will be as exciting as their theory is. As exciting in practice as they are in theory. Yes. Uh, Now, mind you, if they make daimyos actually work the way they want them to and they function well and interestingly, it will also change even more aspects of. It will change the way that Austria works. My own equivalent of Austria, I suppose. Because my own equivalent of Austria is meant to be dealing with a bunch of daimyo, more or less. But if daimyo work well and interestingly in EU5, then I might just have to, instead of making them have a ton of vassals that they're split up into, have a bunch of parasitic building-based countries within them that they need to get rid of and reform into a good building-based country instead. But we will see. After all, the design philosophy of my dev team is keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid. Just improve forward. Right. Subject strength impact on Overlord is also that's pretty nice. They don't get disloyal as easily. Diplomatic rules. Overlord needs 0.52 diplo cap to maintain this relation. So it does in fact give, yeah, you do still need to upkeep it. So you won't be able to conquer the world with vassals. You'll still need to deal with the fact that they require diplo capacity, and you can't annex them to integrate that land. So you will need to just focus on getting extra diplo cap at every time you want more of them. But yeah, maybe the cost will still decrease based on their power relative to you. Who knows? Subject giving fleet basing rights. Subject gives Overlord food access, and subject will join Overlord's defensive wars. And then yeah, subject will join offensive wars if don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the offensive wars are. 0.52 does seem like an odd number. Yes, the 0.52 is definitely because it relates to your strength in comparison to them or some such thing, because we know that any diplo relation that you make with a country, it depends on their power compared to yourself. Uh, if Ulm wants to make an alliance with France, it will require realistically more diplo capacity than they can afford. Uh, but the question when it comes to building based countries is how does it track your power? Or yeah, how does it deter? Because I don't remember how exactly it determines. I think it's tax base actually, and they do track the tax base curiously enough of the Hansa. So perhaps yeah, as the Hansa's tax base increases, it will decrease the cost for those vassals up to whatever the minimum is. I don't know what that is. Again, the setup implies great flexibility on war call design. Indeed, indeed. What does food access mean? Okay, so food access means that that means that the Hansa's, the actual league troops, whatever the Overlord's troops are in that land, they can use the food that's in that territory with and they don't have to starve. So if you can give someone military access through your land, but not give them food access. So yeah, exactly. It's supply. So someone you can give someone food access as say Aragon can give military access to France, and then France will march their troops through Aragon to go and attack Castile or some shit. But that doesn't mean that they'll get food rights. So the French troops are gonna start to run out of food on their way to Castile and need to hustle to go and get secure new food sources in the new lands. What I will also say in regards to resource gathering operations and subjects locations, that's all the RGOs and roads and buildings, all that sort of thing, and regiments and ships. These things are all stuff that you can do in a colonial vassal as well. I don't know about normal vassals, but this is the case in a lot of vassals, it seems, or at least some. So this is not unique, because this is at least the case for colonies as well. Member of the Hansa. Also, oh, they do join your offensive wars always as well. Okay, okay. So benefits for Overlord. Oh, oh. Every single member of the Hansa gives the Overlord 2.5% more trade capacity. Oh, I think I've found what might be one of my favorite tags to play. I think I'm going to like these guys. I'm going to have tons of reasons to set up more little Hanseatic League members around the place to secure my trade and give me just more trade all over the place. It would be very cool if we could do this type of subject relationship in an IO instead of only subjects, so we could have laws, etc. right that change what the Overlord gets and has rights to. I believe we do. Actually, I think that we can in fact do exactly that, Rasak. There are a lot of signs. There's a lot of signs that indicate that an international organization can, in many ways, be used to replace vassal relationship in particularly decentralized realms. I've had many debates with members of my team in regards to how to handle certain realms where I want to make certain places into international organizations. They want to make them into a subject and overlord relationship, and uh, yeah, there's a particular location in Kiangol that is there's a dwarven kingdom, a very strong one. However, it's quite fragmented at the moment, and I personally wanted to make it an IO, but most people want to make it a vassal relationship. That's like France's appanages in EU4, where they can fight each other. So that's most likely that's how it will end up being, but perhaps it will be a little bit of both. Perhaps it'll be a case of uh, decentralized vassals, while also having some people in an IO, like having them all be in an IO that includes people that aren't even vassals. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. The first one, it's all going to be just fun for the members of the team early on. We'll just be throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks. You have fun testing out the new game, both to play it and see how it actually feels to play the game, and to work on modding it. Yeah. All right. So what does it do? Oh, yeah, yeah. Spreads 50% embraced institutions to capital. Yeah. So yeah, if a vassal gets an institution, this is the case for any type of vassal we know. Vassals always send a little bit of their institutions to the overlord as well, and they pay 5% of their income and 100 of manpower and 100 of sailor income each month. Does that mean 100%? Do members of the Hansa? So do members of the Hansa give all of their manpower and sailors to the overlord? So do they only have levies? They give every single bit of manpower to the overlord? That would be interesting if so. Benefits for subject: trade maintenance 10%, loyalty to the overlord 30, and then trade efficiency 2.5. You definitely don't think so. You'd think it's just 100. 100's strange though. 100 is strange because it's such a flat number. You'd think that that would scale. That would have some sort of scaling percentage, you know? Well, regardless, this if this is the case, that it is just a flat number. Um, if it's the case that it's just a flat number, it would make sense that you would want to have as many small numbers as possible. But wait, 100 per month is a lot. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. It's probably 100%, because 100 is a bizarre amount where that just does not scale. First of all, throughout the game, that will not change. And second of all, at the beginning of the game, 100 manpower and 100 sailors is insane. That is a simply ludicrous number of manpower and sailors per month, uh, per vassal. That would mean the Hansa is getting 300 manpower and sailors every month at game start, which simply does not make sense. That would not be the case. That is more manpower every month than the goddamn Teutonic Order has in professional troops. I don't think the Teutonic Order even has that many. No, no, I think the Teutonic Order has. Yeah, okay, okay, yeah. The Teutonic Order has like what? They have several hundred, so it's a little less than them. Random guess, it works up to 100. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. And as for giving a reason to become a landed nation long term, perhaps as well. But we don't like they just stated that if you get land, it makes you a settled tag. But what we don't know is what are the positives and negatives of that. Is that something you want to achieve as the Hansa? Or does becoming a settled tag like instantly just out of nowhere delete all of your special mechanics? These are things I'm curious about. Like, could you sabotage a player by giving them land? You know, that's what I'm curious about. I also want to know. I also want to know if it's possible to colonize. I don't think you can colonize as one of these guys, but I would love to. It would be so fun to colonize as a building-based country, and set up new colonial vassals, because it's technically been done. Though I suppose, yeah, with what pops, it's true. Because the pops that you'd be colonizing with would be your employees. Because all of your pops are just these employees. So like, how would you get more? How do you can't just lose them and then get more? I don't know how that works. It's weird. Like I will be utterly shocked if the game lets you raise levies as a building based country. So yeah, I don't know. Hanseatic cog. Curious. It needs rum and sugar. Huh. Well, I doubt these are good numbers. I don't imagine that six cannons is very good. You can expand into, for example, London as the Hansa. What do you mean expand? Oh, you mean like expand into it as in like conquer? Like that's a good like a positive you get out of becoming settled? Because you could okay yeah outposts yeah. Because I mean at game start you already have a building in London, so you don't even need that. Like yeah. I mean we saw the map. Oh yeah, you weren't here at the beginning, Drac. Yeah, you weren't here at the beginning, Drac. This is everywhere that the Hansa owns a building at game start. So the Hansa owns a crazy amount of buildings all over the place. Yeah, yeah, even normal nations can build trade outposts. Yeah, yeah. But these are all the different places that the Hansa has various buildings. So quite a few locations. And on top, and we know as a result of that yeah, all of those buildings get added up together to show the pops. Yeah. Reading up, and their colonial ventures were of a different kind. What? The Hansa tried colonies? Hanseatic cog. Hanseatic traders. Oh my god, even more trade capacity. Jesus. Even more. 20% more. And then Hanseatic shipwrights for extra Hanseatic shipwright guild max level. So yeah, because they show that you can scale the level of the building. So yeah, this is showing how you can stack the shipwright guild. And then Baltic sailors for 20% Navy morale. These guys are gonna be wild. I am looking forward to this. So, that you a DM. You send me a DM. The Hanseatic colony in London, although they didn't completely emerge until the 15th century. What? Wow. Okay, okay. So yeah, you're talking about yeah. When you're talking about colonies, you're talking about their yeah their lands that they owned in like London. In that link you sent me, it mentioned that the Hansa's port in Novgorod was blockaded for years until eventually it gave up. That's crazy too. They're determined individuals. The Hansa Bank. Ooh. Bank interest 1% goes down. That's very, very nice. Mind you, this is the end of the game, but um, props to the Hansa for being powerful enough that they get dynamic techs all the way. Like they have unique techs all the way up to the age of absolutism until they finally uh, run out of unique content. Yeah, Novgorod did eat dirt throughout their entire history, except for Alexander Nevsky, I think he's called. The one guy that's super famous that defeated the Teutonic Order because they were marching over a frozen lake. And some of their dynamic events. Yeah, support the patricians, Tull, and the burghers. Who no favorites. Adopt Lubeck's seal. The merchants of Weismar will represent us. What about Rostock? The union that our many merchants operate under has been prospering for some time. Business influence flow freely from our trade hubs throughout the entirety of Europe in order to further solidify our grasp on our diplomatic status. In spite of our decentralized nature, our members have elected to be represented by a common seal to signify our unity. So you choose, yeah, you get you've just got the flag, and by default you've got, yeah, Lubeck seal. So you put Lubeck seal on the banner. Interesting. All right. See you later, Drac. You have a good sleep, Mr. Polish man. All right. And that wraps up this one. Next, yeah, the pre-release week. The pre-release week is almost upon us. Monday, the fourth and final Tinto Flags. Tuesday, Tinto Flag. There is something every week, every day of the week. Tinto Flavor Special Edition. Huh. Last post of the Tinto Flavor series. It's the final Tinto Flag, the final Tinto Flavor. Two main events on Wednesday. The very last Tinto Talks post about the achievements, and then the EU5 pre-release stream with the Paradox Tinto team. I forgot about that. Yeah, he's Johan's hosting that. Yeah, the gameplay flood is almost here, and then people won't need to watch me anymore. No one will need Joffers. Thursday EU5 tutorial video. Everything you need to know before unpausing. Friday first pre-release gameplay footage, and then on Sunday, yeah, the final end of all the embargo stuff. So the second. So that's 2 days before the 2 days before the game comes out. 2 days before the game comes out, people get just act like they can just post whatever they want. Yeah. Yes, the need for Kyangol content. Yes, the people interested in the mod will still need the Joffers, and there was a surprising amount of folks who joined that Discord server once it was created. Uh, if yeah, I was quite surprised. We've got more members in that Discord server than uh, most mods in the almost all the mods, in fact, on the mod co-op, which is surprising for an out of nowhere post like ours. But we can skim through. This has been going on for quite some time, but why not skim through, see if there's anything interesting? I'm sure there'll be a map for a post or two down here. Yeah. You're sad you weren't able to attend the meeting. Yeah. Don't worry, AIM. Don't worry. There will be plenty more of those to come it was the first official team meeting for Kiango, but there will be plenty more where that came from. With the game's actual launch, yeah, I'm going to be grabbing when the game actually launches, I'm going to grab as many members of the team as possible and just lump us into a call and talk about the game while we're all trying it out, for example. And there's going to be plenty of the folks that are interested in modding, actually modding on the team, sitting down and testing out how EU5 modding works. Uh, Before we dig our teeth too much into the actual work on the mod itself. Mind you, I'm still going to be working on just making the map work. But yeah, London and Bruges is the Bardi family. I guessed right. Yes, it's the blue one. Bardi's blue. Still a country having all of its lands taken away, but surviving through extraterritorial buildings, like the Teutonic Order. Yeah, the Teutonic Order is going to be a special case of that, where the Teutonic Order will and the Teutonic Order and even more famously though the Knights of St. John, who are still around today. The Knights of St. John are literally one of like the biggest to this day extraterritorial countries where they don't rule Malta anymore, but they are they are a nation and they own buildings everywhere. uh, Daily internal testing MP. That's God damn it, Pavia. Don't tease us with this. Showing a screenshot of their daily testing MP. Yo, Big Georgia. What year is it? 1419. In the year 1419, we got Big Georgia. There's a bunch of vassals around. You've got Big Byzantines. You got Johann in Bulgaria. Yo. And you've got Saint Dave playing as the Livonians. That's very based of him to play as the Livonian Order. And you have this triple A person who's apparently playing as Bohemia, but they've got land. They have vassals in like Serbia, the Kosovo area. And then there's another one, Mareg, who's playing as Holland. Wait, was it Bulgaria is Johan? Wait, does that mean that Pavia is not? Wait, no, this is Johan. Oh, Pavia is watching it. So Pavia is watching it, and then Johan posted this. This is sad. This is sad. I was hoping Pavia would be playing. There's no list of players. No, Pavia's not in this game. Very sad. the the fact that Pavia is supposedly aware of my existence and has referred to me as bald is funny. So yeah, just curious to see who they would have played in this game. But if I had to guess, well, I mean, Bohemia is apparently just super strong. So yeah. Maybe Hungary's the strongest in this context, though. Want to see how the game plays since you only have a laptop right now and it would be absolutely self-destruction when trying to run EU5? Well, yeah, I mean, if it can run Vic 3, who knows? Who knows? Hey, if it can somehow manage to run Vic 3, maybe it'll run the beta version of Kiangol when we only have Vestrand. And run the early versions of Kiangol and help us test it, before you get yourself a better computer. Map show. Bohemia, few Serbian. Let's just say Serbia used to be owned by a player. In the interest and respect of the family of that player, I'll be taking no further questions. What? What? Saint Dave. He's playing. Is he? He's playing Livonians. I don't know. I guess Serbia was a player and then they got carved up. Serbia was a player and then they got carved up, and Bohemia got some of their land and turned it into a bunch of vassals. That means Bohemia's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Bohemia's got like 23 vassals in this game. That's kind of wild. But then you've got Hungary with Transylvania, and then they turned Moldavia into the March. Which, apparently they've still got content to do, and everyone loves seeing the Golden Horde fall apart as always. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Only Saint Dave UK has the PDS Paradox Studios thing in his tag. Yeah, you know what? Laugh, laugh. Reply to that. I wonder how a player would show up as a building-based country. Over the locations that have their buildings as vessels. Trying to get a better computer soon. We do more permanent place in a few months. University student stuff. Yes. Um, you read it later yourself. Yeah. Well, yes, as we're just wrapping up the stream here, Alex. Well, now that it's gone over the 2 hour mark, I finished reading the comments and stuff. Did I like? Short answer. Did I like what was in this Tinto talk? I loved it. I am overjoyed. We had a humongous. Okay, okay. Short answer. Yes, it's very good. Long answer. I am overjoyed at what they showed, and I really. God damn it, potato, dude, I don't. No, it's already 2 hours long. Think of the watchability. This is already so long. Like, how do people? Long answer, you can rewatch. Short answer, it's really cool, really good. Long answer, you can rewatch. Yes, yes. Um, yeah, potato, Kilwa. Maybe I could do the Kilwa one tomorrow. No, no, I can't do that now. No, I'm not doing that now. I have. It's not that long. Mags, Mags, I swear, Mags. You know what? I mean, okay, in all honesty, who's gonna watch? Who is gonna go and watch a kill in Zimbabwe one? No one's gonna watch that. You're right. You're right. I would watch it because I'd be curious, but not many people would. So screw it. We'll skim through this one and see before we end. Indian textile, Chinese porcelain. Oh, wow. That's pretty far afield. They have how many fucking vassals? Kill was a kingdom tier title with they they have 10 vassals. What? What? Holy shit. They don't have Zanzibar as a vassal though. Estates, commoners. Kill with trading communities. Burger's power goes up. This is the opposite of the Hansa, so the burger power go up, 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 up. But trade capacity, plutocracy, and free trade. This is all worth it. The burgers can have their power. This is more than worth it. And hey, you get control over the coinage for income from minting and crown power. That should be very useful because I imagine there's quite a bit of gold down in Zimbabwe once you actually conquer that. Yes, exactly. The Tinto flavor stuff is it's mostly whatever, unless there's some real juicy stuff. This is just like, it's worth stopping by to be like, oh look, here's some modifiers. Those are curious ones. Yes, I like the minting one. Um, Maintenance, naval supplies output. Naval supplies output is curious. I like some of these ones. You get unique buildings. I like when people get unique buildings, really making use of the mechanics that are so distinct from EU4 because EU4 has the really trash building system where there's no depth to the economy. This game has so many more layers to the stuff. All these different unique buildings too, and all of these naval supplies output, lumber output. I like this. So at game start, they've got this law that gives them naval supplies and lumber. Both of these output increase, so you can make a huge economy. I imagine a lot of your economy can be based off of building naval supplies and getting the lumber you need for it. And the kill one shipwrights, just an early game unique way to get more sailors than the average bear. No, nothing special there. But unique ship trade range goes up. It's a flat modifier. This is rare. This is rare. A flat modifier up increase to trade range. We don't know how big 150 is, but that is curious. A unique light ship that has absolutely terrible combat stats. It's just wait. Maybe it's a light ship. I don't know. It seems like this is just a worse, but also less men. It's just a smaller version of the unique Hanseatic cog. It does not even require a full manpower and maintenance. Hey, I said the cog was bad. I don't know how it is. I'm yapping. I don't know these stats. I'm not so boastful as to try and claim that I know how good these things are. It needs tin and copper, so you need bronze plating on this ship. Interestingly, kill one down. It's another ship. It's another light ship. I don't know. It's like this is H2, so I guess this is just the next step. So, I don't know. But this one actually requires a full sailor upkeep. Shan's taxation. Taxation for the Demi estate. Interesting. That that is something I'm really curious about. Honestly, the whole Demi estate, how that works in this game, because pops get tied to estates. So how does that work? How does it tie? Does the game just say any pops that are from a heathen faith? Yeah, any pops that are of a heathen faith are more likely to be put in the Demi estate as opposed to the other ones. I don't know. Because this could theoretically mean that as a Muslim country, if you expand into a ton of non-Muslim land, that you'll just get a absolutely monstrous Demi estate. But I don't know. We don't. But it's interesting to think about. Shirazi legacy. Yeah. Gold trade of Africa, of course. Yes, gold output. And late game. Yes. The very end of the game. Joint stock companies. Dear God. There's a tech called joint stock companies in the Age of Revolutions. You can go. This game lets you go past. You actually like you go into the end of early game Victoria. Like what? Joint stock companies is a tech that I'm pretty sure only Britain has in Vic 3 at GameStar. I think it is just them and maybe Belgium, but I think it's just Britain. And that's just so that you can account for the fact that Britain's supposed to have both the Hudson's Bay and East India companies, respectively. Uh, Unique cultural building, yes, in the capital for extra trade stuff. Trade capacity for owner +5. Maximum stockpile of maximum stockpile of sugar. I like that. That's a unique. This sort of thing. This is like the honestly the best part about looking at this is when you get special buildings that have actually interesting modifiers. You get to see the things of if in the capital, and then you get this, which we have not seen before, which is if in market center the location benefits by this. That's cool. Something where if a certain place that has a special building is a market center, the market gets a bonus. That's really neat, and I hope to see that sort of thing more. Like the Hansa should totally get stuff for that, right? Like if imagine if you're playing as the Hansa, you get a building you can make that the building gets a boost both to you and to the owner of the market. Like the market just becomes better by the presence of the Hansa. Like this whole stockpile capacity thing, something like that for if in market center the location benefits by this. If in modded location, tag do stuff. That's a very good point, Rasak. That is a very good point. If in capital, if in market center, what else could it be? This could you could extend it to be. I imagine this could be extended to something. Say, if in a place with a fort, you could probably because this means there's a scripted trigger. There's a trigger that you can find somewhere in the files that looks for if it's a market center. That's probably what this is doing. There's probably a flag that says, this tile is a market center. So there's probably a way that you could do something like tell it to look. There's probably a way that you could tell it to look for if the tile that's in has a fort level, for example. So you could be like, if tile has a fort level, give this building adds like fort defense or manpower. Who knows? Garrison size. If underground, yes, there you go. Exactly. If underground, this. Um, make a trade building. So you think this for example. If underground plus, so if underground plus market center, maybe both. Maybe there's a way you could do if in market center and underground gives a bonus to capacity for something specific if you want to be really niche. Or perhaps you have a building that um I don't know. That's all sorts of very interesting ideas. Using it to give locations special resources aside from RGOs, the buildings can then work. Oh, you're right. You're right. That is totally something that could do. You could say make like we were talking about earlier, like wizards. You're playing a building based country that is setting up magic academies or alchemist guilds and other such things around the place. Um, Depending on where you build it, perhaps it gets different bonuses, and you could based on if it has a maybe if it has a resource. It says you build it here if it has this resource. Yeah, maybe there's a way to check for that, for example. Then it gives a unique thing. So if you build like an alchemy laboratory or some shit, alchemist guild, alchemist lab, alchemist factory, shit like the different tiers through the ages. Um, if you build it on a tile with insert fantasy magic material used for spells and alchemy stuff, if you build it on a tile with that, maybe then it allows you to get some better production method or something. Create tag magic rift. Now special mage buildings can be built there. uh, right. Golden Age of Kilwa. Unique works of art and stuff. All right, Zimbabwe. Bantu and Shona. Very culturally and religiously united. Oof. That's new. This is interesting. That's showing that I don't think it normally shows the religion icon there. So that's interesting because it used to just be like the generic like Imperator Rome's son. So this shows that different religions their icon will show up here in the culture screen or in the religion screen here. So it might theoretically, I think, yeah, before it was the Imperator icon, yeah. So theoretically, this is something that makes me very curious. I bet then that means there's a way that you could tie, because this is showing like what the majority religion is. So there probably is a way that you could show like something for the majority culture. So I bet that there's a way that for mods you could script this to show a different image for the majority culture based on heritages. So you could do it for races in a fantasy mod. There's theoretically maybe a way that for total conversion fantasy mods like Kiango, you could look at this and then see an icon that shows if the majority culture is a human or elf, dwarf, whatever. Damn, they have lots of vassals too. Everyone's got lots of vassals. But Zimbabwe's vassals, I imagine, are all societies of pops because there's no one next to them. Zimbabwe doesn't have any unique ones. Okay. Zimbabwe has no unique things. Benefits from this very important cabinet action, which allows it to settle the border locations at its own pace. Unlock Settle the Frontier cabinet action. Settle the Frontier cabinet action. I heard Playmaker talking about there being a Settle the Frontier thing as Russia, but it's not really useful for Russia because by the time you get it, you're already just colonizing normally. I would say majority. I assume it's showing the majority mags, but we don't know. Either way, it's good. Surrounded by territories, but for a country like Zimbabwe, this would be very useful. I imagine 600. This takes 3,650 days to complete. $3,650. The context is probably based on that, it requires administrative ability. We got to do some quick maths here, calculator time. So 10 years. That's not bad. Taking 10 years to colonize a province. That's yeah, I'm not going to complain about that at all. In fact, if I'm playing as Zimbabwe, you've probably got, I think Zimbabwe's a kingdom, right? Yeah, Zimbabwe's a kingdom, so that means they've got 3 cabinets. They got three cabinet members, so that means that as you know, when you're playing as them, you could theoretically be colonizing three provinces at the start. Yeah, yeah. So if you get decent administrative skilled characters, you have an actually decently skilled ruler in admin skill too. Okay, you have a terrible admin skill ruler. He's good in everything you don't need. He is good in literally everything you have no use for. That is so tragic. He is an unparalleled martial and diplomatic genius, but he has no fucking clue how to run a bureaucracy. So if he actually had good admin skill, you would be able to do this even faster. So honestly, um, this is really good for Zimbabwe. That will help them a ton. I hope Cahokia gets this too. I will definitely want to do that as Cahokia. When implemented, the target character gets sent to the target province in order to settle the unclaimed land. We enable events for the period of the next 10 years which describe the process of settling the province. Yeah. While originally we created this action for Zimbabwe, we ended up generalizing it for a bunch of countries in the region. So you have its potential, or country type, location, or army. So either location or army based country that has MKU. So they're either Maka, I guess, Makwa on the Swahili coast, or their capital is in the subcontinent of South America, Central Africa, the Great Lakes region, Southern Africa, Zimbabwe, and then North American natives. So East Coast, Great Plains, back. Okay. And they're not a colonial nation. Okay. Another mechanic in the modding toolbox indeed. Yeah, not Russia. You're right. It's not actually something for Russia. I guess that means that the way that Russia gets access to it is different, assuming they do still. Maybe they got it removed. But yes, this will be very useful for as a method for tags that are because this is basically like every single tag in the new world has access to this tech. So that means that that this is honestly brilliant because it means that you have a way as a Native American tag to colonize without having to use the colonization mechanics because the colonization mechanics require an exorbitant amount of money and resources that you can't produce easily. So this means that, if you're playing Cahokia, you actually can technically have a chance. Maybe. Well, you can get more land at least. Uh, I'm gonna, cross my fingers in that one. If you rush, if you rush colonizing big time as Cahokia, maybe. Hmm. You could use this to move your entire nation, but having a big long event chain, and when completed, you can trigger events to abandon home locations and then move pops to the new one. You know what? That's probably true. That's probably true. The only thing is, I don't know how you'd get the AI to do it. I have no clue how you'd get the AI to think that's a good idea. And the other problem is you'd need it to somehow be something that you can't have all of your dudes doing at once. Because so you'd need to convince the AI this is a very good thing to do. That they'd want to do this cabinet action. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the AI didn't think. See, the thing is, if the AI is looking at this, and you have to wait them to do it. So you wait it to be a very good thing. The AI really wants to do this. That means they're going to do it with multiple of their cabinet ministers. So that means that the AI is just wasting time on bullshit. They're just wasting time spamming using this on multiple locations at a time to try to move themselves to it. And then you have to deal with the bullshit of what happens when this event triggers multiple times. Builders of Zimbabwe. Eh. Buildings cost goes down. Oh, and the as for like moving your country, one like there is one way that's probably going to be the easiest way that people can implement migratory tags, and that's going to be the fact that pirates can do a migration thing. We don't know how it works, but they have the ability to migrate somehow as a pirate. I don't know, Max. We just haven't seen it yet. It's something that would require testing, and it's certainly not something that's simple enough that folks will be looking at early on. Yeah. Early on, my focus is just going to be making sure that Kyungul can launch successfully. Uh, Building cost goes down. Migration speed. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Legitimacy and stab investments. Proximity cost. Very good. Very good. Monthly development, a very, very tiny amount. And a end of the game, Age of Revolution's infantry power boost. That's good. Rise of the Mutapa. You change your name from Zimbabwe to Mutapa, and then have the Mutota rule. Interesting. Oh, the Mutapa uprising. So the Mutapa uprising happens to like conquer. Yeah, I remember. Remember that. So yeah, idea being you can dynamically deal with the yeah, yeah supplanting of the Zimbabwe kingdom with Mutapa. Or you could be based and keep Great Zimbabwe because I mean Great Zimbabwe is great. So why oh well if he spawns with those stats maybe because having a 20-year-old ruler who is really good rule your country and instantly get rid of an uprising, maybe that's worth it. Mind you, the whole country hates you. Oh, I don't know about Rosevie. So you just lose. They become Rosvi instead. Unlock the Council of Senior Wives. Efficiency of cabinet and allow females in cabinet. Well, that just sounds useful. That is just explicitly good because that is 10% efficiency of the cabinet, and you get a ton of access to more characters to be in the cabinet. Hell yes. Well, the thing, Rasak, is we don't know any of the details about the migration mechanic. We don't know what it brings with you, if it brings anything at all. It might literally just leave all of your shit there except for your prior Pirate Cove building and like all your pops. I'm willing to bet it leaves all your pops behind. So probably not very useful, but maybe if someone's modding said mechanic, they could make their own version of it that would cause you to yoink all pops of your primary and accepted cultures. No, it'd have to be primary. Maybe. I don't know, but there's ways you could make that work, I'm sure. Yeah. Quest for resources. Adventurers heed the call. Settle the frontier of their country. Oh. Huh. Protect new courtiers. Well, sounds like Zimbabwe does have lots of content then for actually expanding and subjugating the uncolonized territories. But with that, that took half an hour. That's exactly about as much as I expected it to take, honestly. I think that was worth it in the end. But my throat is getting sore now, so I am gonna have to end the stream now so that I don't die of oh. So thank you all for bullying me into continuing to cover the Kill One Zimbabwe one now. I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now. Bye bye.
Bye 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 bye. Bye bye.